so carry on, yeah. Yeah, and according to the presentation, our topic is eXtremeConnect. So I wanted just to put eXconnect inside of this sentence, where and how to not lost in the new reality. About what this presentation is. In the recent days, I can say that I had a lot of questions from other guys, some developers, juniors, or the regular ones even, that maybe they are not, you know, deep inside the Sitecore news, the Sitecore 9, and so on. And they heard about the eXconnect in general, right? But they don't have this knowledge about what it is in general and for what we are using that, or we want to use that, in which purpose. So creating this presentation, I wanted to go from the beginning, and we will go step by step with the information. What is the main goal to using the eXconnect, the main rules of that, and later we will switch to some code that Tomasz will describe, and we will try to prove that the eXconnect is working and it's true. So this is it. Yeah, so slide about who is who. So I'm Robert, Tomasz is sitting there, but I don't mind if you switch the names. But I prefer Robert, of course. Everybody knows that is the best. So that's we. Our story, yeah, I just wanted to say something about us because probably you are wondering why we are doing this together. Well, we got to know with Tomek some time ago, and it was a story that we even, you know, didn't be the programmers in that time, so we had some different approach to life. And in that case, we met on some casting. Tomek was, I was on the casting to some movie about the sea and the beach. I don't remember the topic, but it was something about the beach and the sea. And I was sitting next to him in the same room, but to another casting, to other movie. It's something about the boat and the beauty, you know, the top model stuff. And in that time, we got this contact, and we get this information that we are on the same line and we can do something together. So yeah, so this is our little story. Unfortunately, our actress careers didn't go very good, and we became programmers. So Tomek is a really professional Sitecore, well-skilled developer, and you got his bio here. Yeah, I had the pleasure working with him on several projects, and I hope it will be not the last ones. About me, yeah, I'm since this year Sitecore certified with version 9 developer. Also, I had this pleasure to become a Sitecore MVP 2018, and the second pleasure to won a Sitecore Hackathon 2010 with some other guys that even one of them should be in this room. Yeah, kids. Yeah, and that's the social info, my social info, of course, the Tomek social info. It will be later. Okay, from the beginning. So when we would like to understand what eXconnect has changed in our approaching to the Sitecore, I think that the good idea is to step back a little bit and understand how it was in the past, well, even the current version that you probably use. So how it was in the past. So previously, before the Sitecore 9, we have used Sitecore as this graphic shows for us. So there was the direct connection between the Sitecore application and the XDB part, as these arrows show. And we have been strictly connected with the implementation of the database, right? And if we would like to change something, we had to be aware of this implementation, and that's, you know, it's strict connection, and that could occur some problems for us as developers. Yeah, we had also the MongoDB DLLs inside of the Sitecore, So it also, yeah, strict direct connection. Here some just simple example of the information how to get from the XDB before the eXtremeConnect approach. So yeah, something like that, just for the example. And new approach. So new approach, we understand that to Sitecore 8.2 we had this you know, high connection between the implementation of XDB and the Sitecore. And new approach has changed that. Sitecore, of course, understand that it could be done better than it was, and we provide Sitecore 9. So where it is? As I said at the beginning of the presentation, there are some questions where I can find eXtremeConnect. So where it is? Is it on the dashboard? Can I find it in the content editor, for instance, or you know, somewhere else? Robert, show me the eXtremeConnect. And yeah, so this is the question: is it in the dashboard or is it in the content editors? Well, both answers are wrong, right? eXtremeConnect, it's not simple tool. We can say that it's embedded in the Sitecore. This is something really much more complex, and it's even not in the Sitecore itself. It's something next to it, but strictly connected with the Sitecore. New approach. So this is the graphic that we saw before, but it has something new element inside of it. We see the eXtremeConnect between the Sitecore side and the XDB side. What does it mean? Does mean that we have something that is translating information from Sitecore to the XDB, and it's also approach that allows us to unify working with the XDB, and we are not strictly connected with the implementation in XDB, right? What does mean eXtremeConnect? Well, eXtremeConnect, according to the definition, eXtremeConnect is the service layer that sits in between the XDB and and any trusted client, device, or interface that wants to read, write, or search XDB data. So this is what we said just a moment ago. Yeah, communication must happen over the HTTPS, and clients must have the appropriate certificate thumbprint. Correct. Each of us who had possibility to install the Sitecore 9 saw probably that you have to have the free port on SSL, probably 443, to install correctly Sitecore, and this is the reason. eXtremeConnect flow. This is the third graphic that shows us the eXtremeConnect, but a little bit more detailed. We see a lot of elements here, a lot of arrows, and so on. The first thing that we have to highlight, the eXtremeConnect is something that can be scaled, and it's scalable. So we see here that the vertical scaling, we've got the content delivery, content management, and so on. We see the arrows that asks the eXtremeConnect web API. So this is the layer that unify the interactions with the XDB. We see these yellow arrows with OData description. It means that this eXtremeConnect web API, which you are using as a developer, is built based on the OData standards. So this is the RESTful service. Yeah, and behind this web API, we've got the eXtremeConnect services. So when we are using the XP0 installation of Sitecore locally on your computer, you will probably not very well. It's not so how to say it, highlighted this layer, because you have everything on your machine. But when you are scaling this stuff on the production or some other bigger environment, you see then that you have the search and the collection services that you can put to the different server or the different servers. So this is it. So we have to understand that this is something that can easily extend in many directions. New website. Yeah. Well, I said that the eXtremeConnect is not part of the Sitecore itself embedded and so on in the dashboard. Yes, it's something next to it, This is the example of my my project which we used with the friends during the hackathon, and we see that we have the Sitecore website in the IIS and the eXtremeConnect. Knock knock. So yeah, so because it's next to the Sitecore, it's on IIS, so probably we should have possibility to ask eXtremeConnect about something. So in your local machines, you've got the eXtremeConnect web API. You see that you can, of course, ask, over the URL, the eXtremeConnect web API, and of course, you've got the students' data. This includes eXtremeConnect collection services, eXtremeConnect search service, eXtremeConnect client API, and eXtremeConnect search indexer. We will try to go over those points and say a little bit of it. So eXtremeConnect search indexer. Well, the eXtremeConnect search indexer is responsible for the indexing the information that is changing in the XDB, and yeah, the indexer can be set up as the Windows service, and usually when you are installing it on-premise on your local machine, it will be. So you will have the new service, what we will see later. Important, indexing is not by the processing server, and this is the significant change from version 8.2. Yeah, so currently you can divide it to the standalone server as well. The second thing that I think that should be highlighted here, that eXtremeConnect search indexer or eXtremeConnect search doesn't use the Sitecore content search. So we have to be aware that we've got two search in Sitecore 9. And this is the great slide, I think, the table that shows us that. And we see that there is the content search, which is indexing the stuff that you've got in the master database and so on. And you've got the eXtremeConnect search, so completely different namespace with the information from the XDB, so it's totally a different scope. Yeah, and this is the service that I wanted to show as well. As I said, during installation you've got something like that, and you can check it, is it working on your services on Windows. eXtremeConnect provides also this very fancy, recently stuff called the sensitive data. So you can check which data that you're putting to the XDB are sensitive, and this is the attribute PII sensitive. And if you would like to turn it on or turn it off for the indexing, there is also possible. eXtremeConnect client API. So this is the part which is the most often used by the developers, because this is the part that you are just putting to the code. Yeah, so you are opening some classes and make some really fancy stuff. Yeah, the eXtremeConnect client API is portable web API that allows trusted clients to create, read, update, search, yeah, over HTTPS. Exactly. Yeah, so the eXtremeConnect client API, this is the only way to connect to XDB. As I said at the beginning, this is the clue that we have to know, and that's it. Yeah. So if we would like to connect with the XDB, we have to use eXtremeConnect client API. This have very big advantage, but we will say it later at the end of the presentation. The eXtremeConnect client API doesn't replace the tracker, but even the tracker relies on the eXtremeConnect client API, so everything has to use them. eXtremeConnect services. Yeah, so that's what we said before in this graphic design, that we've got the search and collection service that can be scaled and put to dedicated servers. You can do that in a way that you have both things on one server, but if you are scaling much more, you can separate. And this is some example from the documentation as well, and we will see, I don't know how it's working. Yeah, look at it. And we see that we've got some collection, some search. We also see that we have the separate services. This is the automation engine, but we don't touch it today. And we see that our indexing server. Okay, breakpoint. Okay. I understand that I said a lot of theory, maybe sometimes it's interesting, maybe sometimes not, but there was a lot. But still is missing something. But what we can keep. So what we are connecting with this XDB, we are using eXtremeConnect, but what we are putting there, also pulling something from there, so what it is. So we've got the contacts. So this is, I think, the general idea that it's not for most of us. Yeah, so this represents individual and interacts with your applications. This is some information about the namespace that are connected with it, and some generation of the IDs. Yeah, some very general information. Interactions. So this is the second topic. So this is something that describe. Maybe I will put the description. It will describe the things, activities that you are doing, what the visitors are doing during using your applications. And yeah, it's something like, for instance, the purchasing of something, is using an app, browsing a website, or so phone conversation. Interaction represented by the class, and they have to have at least one event. So interaction is some container for this event, so that you put some activity as an event, and then you can put some custom faces for that, and you just wrap this whole stuff as an interaction. And mentioned events. So this is this action, this trigger that is made for the interaction. Yeah, so such as viewing a web page or making a purchase, so not the purchase but making of this purchase and so on. And this is information about the namespace. Yeah, and highlighted one more time that the interaction must have at least one event. Yeah, and also we've got this content interaction facet that we can extend our stuff. So we can, as a custom facet, we can think that we can put something that's Sitecore let for the developers to extend. So you can put, easily some information that you wanted to have, some weight of someone or something. I don't know, some idea. So this is this stuff. So each facet is made up from the face model and face definition. And yeah, this is also information that when you're creating the face model, you can be reusing that. Okay, let's stop it. Tell me how. We currently know what is eXtremeConnect. We understood the flow of the eXtremeConnect. We know what we can get and put to the eXtremeConnect. So how to use that? 4 steps. It seems very cool, but it has some baby steps inside of it. So yeah, little steps, step by step, and we get the result. Sorry for my voice, but it's not very well. Make custom stuff, exactly. So we are making something on our own. So we are creating some event facets, for instance. We are creating the XDB model builder. We are defining the event or facet inside of this model builder, and we are deploying it to the eXtremeConnect. So this is we can say the first step. If we would like to put something our custom to the eXtremeConnect, I highlighted the last block in different color because in the next slide I would like to describe this action according to the deploying. So we made something like that. So we defined inside of the model builder our custom classes. And now we are deploying. So we are creating the console application to serialize newly created XDB model. We are serializing the XDB model builder to the JSON. And we are copying those files to the eXtremeConnect search, eXtremeConnect collection services to allow XDB part to use that. And also to the eXtremeConnect search indexing to allow for the services to index this stuff. And yeah, and at this point we can say that we have our custom stuff put to the eXtremeConnect and that's it. But usually we are doing some really extraordinary custom code with some fancy features, and usually it's not enough for us. And we will want to use, for instance, the marketing automation as well. Maybe that's not a part of this scope of the presentation, but I think that it's also, well, it should be mentioned here as well. So when we want to use our custom facets and so on in the marketing automation, we have to do another activities, like copy the model DLL to the root of every instance the marketing automation engine, create the XML configuration file, and register our custom XDB model. Now we know that we've got the eXtremeConnect and we've got the marketing automation stuff done. What more? We have to deploy custom stuff to Sitecore instances, right? Yeah, it's obvious. So why we are doing that? Because we want to use our classes in Sitecore. That's it. So we have to have the references for those classes just to use it in Visual Studio. To do that, we are copying the model DLLs into the bin directory for Sitecore instance. Later, we are patching our model class into Sitecore eXtremeConnect client config. We're adding the reference to the DLL, and we are using the eXtremeConnect client API. So this is it. And that's how the examples of the custom facets. This is the code from our application from Hackathon as well. So I hope that Wojtek don't mind. Okay, and we see that this is our custom class, so our custom facet. We put some properties inside of it. Later, we are creating the model that will is defining our custom class inside. So we see that we have here the defined facet, and we are putting this information according to our custom code to inside of it. And we are making the serialization to JSON file. It's 2 lines of code, very simple. And later, according to the slides. Yeah, it's the demo time. So from my side currently, I hope that you got to know something about the eXtremeConnect in theory, and you've got this flow. You see the approach that how to use that. Currently, Tomasz will show the meat for you, so the code and the things that he did with this application as well. And after that, we will try to summarize everything and get some applause from you. Yeah. So cool to see.
we can start. The aim of my presentation is to show you how you can easily generate random traffic on your web page using this tool, eXtremeConnect, for Sitecore 9. And the background for this tool is that after installing Sitecore 9 with this PowerShell scripts, install Solar as a service and generate this all local certificates. I want to check if everything works in a proper way. So I want to check experience analytics data and experience profile. So I was wondering how easily I can generate this test dummy data. I found on the internet generator, but it works for Sitecore 8, and it is generating data and saving it to MongoDB. So I decided to rebuild it and use eXtremeConnect client API to do it for Sitecore 9. So as Robert said, eXtremeConnect is a service layer, and by default, when you are installing Sitecore 9, it is all the analytics data are stored in SQL Server database, and the main thing in eXtremeConnect is that we can easily change provider, and we can change database, I would say, and for example MongoDB or CosmoDB, and we don't have to change anything in our logic, and it should be working properly. So that's the thing. And what is the processing flow for this tool? At the beginning, user open eXtremeConnect tool and put all the parameters to this tool. For example, user can choose the geo region, channels, and some few things. I will show you it later. Then all the configuration of the set of this data with the JSON file are passed to our parser, and the next step is to parse this configuration file and get this needed information about our configuration. And now when we prepare all this data, we are sending them to the generation engine, I would say, and there in a few threads we are starting invoking eXtremeConnect common API. So that's the main flow. Okay, so let's go to the code. How you can easily install this tool. Of course, all this solution you can find in GitHub, so you can download it and use for your instances. Few things about the installation. First of all, you have to put here your Sitecore instance URL, and the second thing is to web projects, Experience Generator Client, columns integration, and analytics updater. Okay, then you have to synchronize items with your Sitecore instance, and yeah, and you are ready to use it. When you log into your Sitecore instance, you will have here some button to start this tool, and there is a few options to generate this data. Here we have options to save and load our settings. We can generate the number of visitors, set these numbers of visitors here, page visits, page views per visit, time spent or on page, visit start date and the end date. There is also an option to choose channels, online channels or offline channels for our data. This list is from Sitecore. So when we choose by default, there is choose direct channel, and of course we can choose more channels, and during this generation process we will take random channels and use it. We can also add here some devices to our data. There is also an option to choose locations for our page visits. For example, in this set we want to generate traffic from, I don't know, South Asia, and we will take some cities and regions from South Asia. This data are prepared in files, so we random this location from this region. We can also add some landing pages because it's clear Sitecore instance, so we have only home page. We can also add some referral URLs, and it will be also used during the generation process. We can also add some search keywords, internal and external. We can also define some outcomes here, and campaigns. This tab is not connected currently, so we can skip it. And now we are ready to start generating data. I hope it will not fail. Fingers crossed. we visit our page directly through the direct channel. You can see here. Yeah, that's how it works. Have you got any questions? Yes. 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 Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I understood the question. Well, I didn't thought about it. It's a really good question. I'm sure that you have to. I don't see the answer. I'm just saying that I ask myself, like, I expect people to. So I made additional instance for each. Yeah, exactly. I think that this is dedicated for it. Yeah. I was disappointed when they said that.
Because you want to use one eXtremeConnect for both, yes? Okay, so from my side, it is everything. If you don't have questions more, then I think I can finish summary. Probably will summarize.
Well, we could do that together. It's not a problem. Okay, so we'll maybe leave this lab, okay, because we've got some technical problems with that. So summary, as you see, I think that the best idea in the eXtremeConnect is just to be the independent of the implementation, right? So we currently got providers that allows us as developers to use many different databases. I hope it will be more in the future as well. And this is the thing that you know, for instance, Tomasz currently has this application, and in some days the new support for the another implementation of the XDB will appear, and his code is still available for the new approach, right? So we've got really cool stuff in my opinion. So yes, we say about the separation, yeah, with various technology stack, clear and unified approach to combine Sitecore with external systems, so yeah, everything is connected with that. And one thing that I think that we have to highlight, that documentation is really well done. Maybe something is missing, as Paul was asking even, but the documentation is really good. I saw many documentations in other technologies, and this is really cool. So from our side,
I can add one more thing that now when we have this generator and we have some test data, we can and all the data are exposed through this REST services, so we can easily read them in external systems like Power BI and or Elasticsearch, and it will be easy to present this analytics data in other systems.
yeah, the Power BI is a great idea if you would like to show we broke the system one more time. Sorry. As I said at the beginning, we wanted to be actors, so it's normal for us. Okay. We are trying.
So questions, right?
Yeah. So if you have more questions, ask Tomasz.
We've got some Sitecore swag. So for questions, you will get Sitecore pen drives. Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So ask.
Okay, then I have one more question. What about debugging all these nice features? How can you debug? How can you troubleshoot what happens inside eXtremeConnect? Because in Sitecore, basically, you can just add debugger and to all these Windows services. How do you debug? Which logs are related and so on? Do you have any information about that?
I didn't debug the eXtremeConnect libraries. I only debugged this calling this method.
Yeah, because we are requesting the API, right?
Yes, exactly.
So when we are requesting the API, the code that we are written to ask the API, it's on our side. So we get the solution, we get this code that we wrote to ask API to pull something. So this code is available as it was in the before, just to debug. Yeah? So we've got it, this attaching and so on.
We are calling, for example, to add contacts, and we are expecting that it will be safe in the database, and that's all.
Yeah, we trust eXtremeConnect. Yeah.
Actually, I think like the custom code, the eXtremeConnect is just like separated application in IIS, so you can add that to.
Yeah.
I can add that the first version of this generator was written as a console application because I use it. I need only eXtremeConnect URL, and that's all. All these GUIDs with channels I can get from Sitecore and use it. And, it is also cool that we don't need to connect to Sitecore. We can use it separately.
Yeah, I remember from the last symposium there was like one of the presentation was the how to extend Sitecore reports or dashboards, actually dashboards. So yeah, they connect directly to eXtremeConnect
without Sitecore.
With Tableau or Power BI. I don't remember.
I have one question. Because you generated some new contacts in Sitecore in eXtremeConnect, are we able to simulate the behavior of the website for a specific contact? Because for example, we want to check personalization for just generated contact. Do you understand the question?
I'm trying to get it.
Okay,
let's consider that we have some advanced marketing stuff like building personas and those profile cards, and based on that, we would like to personalize.
Okay, so you are asking if this data that application generates inside of the XDB can be used in the Sitecore, yeah, to make something.
Yeah, but we would like to check it how it works. Yeah, if it works. So we just generated new contact with some interactions.
Yes.
Yeah, as I understand, it works in that way, right? That you have everything in your.
Yeah, but then you want to take a contact from XDB and just start a new interaction as this particular contact.
Yes, I think it's available. You can get this contact from database and
get the ID of the contact.
Yes, exactly.
And then you need to starting with the
like
user ID or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Just yeah.
Okay.
Because there are some methods to I use it to add some information to, for example, about contacts and interaction, and there are some methods to get these contacts through the identifiers, and you can use it in code.
But then you need to change the code. I think you can just pass the parameter as user ID, something like
exactly.
that, to the
exactly.
Extracted ID from the XDB.
Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't get it.
He already had.
He will take it later. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, then thank you guys.